Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who I'd love to break into a swimming pool with and have a little midnight swim. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
Very good. I'm very good. I've been helping, I think I mentioned in the podcast, ad nauseum, how my daughter is in a band. So yeah. I've been helping her and her they're doing a couple of songs at school in a couple of weeks, and they've chosen Buddy Holly by Weezer. Good song. And,
nice.
This one took me totally by surprise, but She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been helping her a bit with that. Generally just living vicariously through my 14-year-old daughter, projecting my own dreams onto her. Pretty much.
I saw a random clip on Twitter the other day, and I have a very vague memory of this show, but there was a show on kids' TV in, I think the clip was from 1989, or maybe the early 90s, and it was presented by Craig Charles.
Right.
And it was a music show for kids.
Right.
And it was on like 4:45, but the clip that they showed, they had Napalm Death on as the guests, which I was like, I don't remember this, but I do have some sort of vague memory in my head of it. But yeah, what a strange band to have on a kids' TV show in the early 90s.
I mean, I have to recommend them to my daughter because despite the two songs that I mentioned that they're going to play, like she prefers bands like Slipknot. I told her about Pantera. I've heard some of their songs rumbling out of her bedroom, out of the door shut. So she likes that sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, death metal, thrash metal.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. That was kind of my wheelhouse when I was younger as well. Yeah. I was into like Pantera, Sepultura, Biohazard, and then White Zombie.
Yeah.
I mean, White Zombie are a bit more industrial, but they were fucking fantastic. Still listen to them occasionally. Nowadays, so good.
Yeah,
I have to say, I did stick on Pantera recently as well. It was took me back with some of their lovely uplifting tunes.
I got the ultimate endorsement last week. We were driving to school and we had the radio on, just the Dubai 92, one of the local radio stations here, and they were playing Rock DJ by Robbie Williams. And about halfway through, Macy said, "Dad, can we not just put your music on?" I was like, yes, we can. We definitely can. Turn this shite off.
And as you put it on shuffle, and then Robbie Williams comes on.
I don't have any Robbie Williams. I was worrying in case like an Elton John song, because I've got a few Elton John songs on my playlists. I like some of his stuff. Yeah, so she's very much off in their own direction.
Fantastic. That's good.
I was never really into bands like the ones you mentioned. You know what I mean? I was more sort of into like kind of Seattle scene and alternatively also bands like Guns N' Roses and Metallica and things. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just basically
very good. Projecting
my own dreams and desires onto my 14-year-old daughter.
That's what all parents do, isn't it?
Yeah. Hundreds of pressure.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, very good. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'll look forward to hearing how the concert went. That's a cracking tune, though, Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
That's a cracking album as well. I do like that.
It's a great album.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, then. Shall we have a look at what's been going on in Scotland this last week?
Let's do it. Cue the jingle.
Hello. This is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation. And here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, what have you seen this week in the newspapers from back home that you've thought, I can't wait to discuss that with Nicky and our listeners?
Well, I before the pandemic, I did a lot of travelling around the Middle East for work. I was on a plane every other week. So I would like to think that I'm a good person to travel with, whether you're traveling with me as a companion or whether you just happen to be sitting next to me. I'm always well organized. I'm very sort of what's what I'm looking for, sort of courteous. You know, I'll help you get your bag down if you're a wee woman and you can't reach. If you're sitting in the middle, I'll always make sure that the armrest that you share with me is free for you. You know what I mean? I'm a good traveller. So when I read this story, it just fucking made made my blood boil because I've been in this situation myself a number of times. So the headline is from the Scottish Sun on the 28th of April. It says, Space Invader. I had a window seat on Ryanair, but rude woman kept leaning over me. I was shocked. This is Danielle McLean. She was travelling from Edinburgh to Gdansk on Tuesday when a fellow passenger leaned over her for the duration of the journey. She's put like a TikTok video up with the caption, when you want a window seat and you don't want to pay, and it's the lady sitting next to her who's seems to be filming out of the window with her phone. She said she was shocked when the stranger reached over her to film using her mobile phone without speaking to her first. The frequent flyer said, I just thought it was quite funny at first. The woman in the middle seat just started leaning over me with her arm right across me, taking videos out of the window. She kept doing it during the flight. She didn't even ask if I was okay with it. Danielle's flight cost her £26, but her encounter with the inconsiderate passenger left her in shock. She posted her experience to TikTok with the caption, the person on the plane kept leaning over me videoing and didn't speak or ask if it was okay to lean over me. She added, I was just in shock, so I thought I'd take a picture and post it on social media. I was on my own anyway, just sitting at the window seat, so I didn't have anyone with me, but I thought, I have to take a photo. We recently told how a plus-size traveller revealed what it was like to travel, and he said it was the airline's fault for being so small. Yeah, that's a woman from Shropshire. I'm not sure that I agree with that statement. But yeah, I mean, I can say I do a lot of travelling. I tend to find that the majority of people that you travel alongside on planes and when you're navigating the airport are almost always utter arseholes. And I'm sure, I'm sure they don't behave in that way in their normal life. But for some, the airport seems to have a strange effect on people. So yeah, I feel Danielle's, I feel Danielle McLean's pain. I think I would have, I'd have said something to the woman. I don't know how long it takes to fly to Gdansk. I'd imagine it's a couple hours. I mean, that'd be fucking unbearable. It's bad enough that you're on a Ryanair plane for a couple hours. You get some arsehole leaning over you for the whole flight.
Yeah, surely you've got to say something. I mean, obviously, especially at the moment with COVID as well, in terms of they're in your personal space. Yeah. And surely, you've got to say something. I mean, the woman should have said, do you mind if I film out the window? Was she filming the clouds? Or just, I could understand if it was takeoff or landing, but literally just filming clouds. Or surely just ask for a window seat as well if you're wanting to do that. I bet she doesn't even look back on that video. It's the, people that film concerts and stuff that annoy me. Are you going to go home and sit and watch that video? No, probably not. So what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably be saying, I'd like to think I would say something, but I don't know if I would. I think I would be passive-aggressive and say, would you like to swap seats? Or something along those lines, rather than actually saying, hoi, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
I know, there was one time when I was landing in Kuwait and a guy next to me, he wanted to film the landing. And he did that. He just shoved his arm in front of me. I was sitting by the window. And he said, but then when I kind of turned to give him a kind of incredulous look, and he didn't speak very good English, and he was like, sorry, I just need a picture. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Because I was ready to turn and say, what the fuck? 'Cause I was flying back from the Philippines, so it's a long old flight from the Manila to the Middle East, 10 hours, and I had to fly through Oman. So I was fucking knackered. All I wanted to do was to get home and get my arse on the sofa. So it wasn't the best time. It wasn't as polite as I usually would be. But yeah, fucking hell. I mean, I can't imagine anything worse. There was another time I was flying back to Kuwait from Beirut, and I always ask for an aisle seat, usually. It's something I've learned to do. Obviously, because I chance to put in the aisle because, one, I'm quite tall, so I can always stick my legs out, stretch them out a little bit. And two, when the plane lands, I like to get the fuck off there as quickly as I can. So, I'm up and, I'm not one of these people that gets up as the plane is still taxiing. I'm not one of those arseholes. But, no. As soon as the lights go out, I like to be on my feet, getting my bag, getting off the plane. But this time, when I was coming back from Beirut, they said they didn't have any. They only had middle seats. So I was sat in between two Lebanese guys, and neither of them gave me the armrest. So I'm just sitting there with my arms cunts. So, yeah. I feel poor old Danielle McLean's pain. What's your first story of this week?
Okay, my first story. You know it's getting bad, Greg, when you read a story and you think, have we covered this on the Swally before? Because it's got quite a few things that definitely sound like the type of thing we would have covered. So just in case I'm in some sort of, still a bit of a COVID dream, can you let me know if we have covered this? Because I don't think we have, though.
Okay.
And as soon as I say the first line, you'll probably know why I think that it sounds like something we would have done before. So this is from the Daily Record this week. A topless Scots man brought the A9 dual carriageway to a standstill by staggering drunkenly across the road to berate a flock of sheep. Thomas Degnan hurled abuse at the sheep after collapsing in the central reservation as numerous drivers were forced to swerve to avoid hitting him. The 42-year-old also urinated on the side of a car and then opened the vehicle door and continued to do so on a 9-year-old boy sitting in the back. Now, that's not funny, so I feel bad about that. The sheep's quite funny, though. Perth Sheriff Court was told that Degnan was so drunk he had no recollection of the incident or why he decided to target a field full of sheep. Sheriff Francis Gill said, "Your behaviour during this incident was appalling. It is likely to have caused trauma to your partner and to the children involved. It is also good fortune that your actions did not cause harm to drivers who had to swerve to avoid you. You say you have no recollection of this incident because you were drunk. That is no excuse." Fiscal Dispute Bill Kermode told the court that Degnan had stormed out of his car after an argument with his partner whilst they were at a filling station near Gleneagles. Staff at the filling station contacted police because he was shouting at her. Then he went to the rear of the car and urinated. Whilst continuing to urinate, he walked round and opened a door. He then urinated on the shocked child in the car, and as the vehicle was driven away by the child's mother. He then staggered into the petrol station shop. It was quite obvious he was under the influence of alcohol, and he was shouting incoherently before returning to the forecourt. He then stumbled onto the A9, causing vehicles to swerve, slow down and stop, and then he made his way into the central reservation before falling onto the ground. He then stood up, and on his way to cross back to the filling station, he then caused vehicles to take evasive action. A staff member began to signal drivers to slow down. So the police attended and found him topless and shouting at sheep in a nearby field. He was extremely under the influence and struggled to walk and speak to the police. When quizzed about his behaviour, he said, "I don't remember." His partner, surprisingly, refused to give her a statement to the police.
Oh, really?
He admitted acting in a threatening and abusive manner at the filling station on the 28th of May last year. He also admitted causing fear and alarm by repeatedly shouting and swearing and striking the window of a vehicle. He admitted urinating on the car and opening the door. The state that he forced vehicles to take evasive action. He also admitted a second charge of assaulting the boy by urinating on him. His solicitor said that he and his partner are working things out. The relationship is in a much better place. He has not consumed any alcohol since this, and he has no recollection of the offence due to his level of intoxication. Here's the old chestnut as well. He was also on medication for a foot injury, which combined with the alcohol was not a good mix. He's very fortunate and he would like to thank all the members of the public who swerved and were not injured as a result. He himself is very lucky to not be injured, that he was crossing a very busy dual carriageway. He was sentenced to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work, and he was placed under a supervision order for 12 months. So it was a light-hearted kind of in terms of that he was decided to berate a flock of sheep, but obviously not so funny about urinating on a child.
I think we should perhaps create and license a kind of Culture Swally bingo / drinking game. So every time one of us, when we're doing the news, says hurled abuse, drunken Scots man, drunken Scots woman, maybe 3.
I think a topless man is also quite a...
Public masturbation.
And also having some sort of strange excuse for their... in fact, it does crop up a lot when these guys are drunk. They say, I can't remember. I've got no memory of it.
Yeah.
And usually they then say, I was on medication for a foot injury or something. It's always, there's always an excuse. It's never just, I got pissed and decided it would be funny to shout at sheep.
Yeah. No, I know. That's pretty specialist. I mean, like, I think to everyone's point, the A9 is a notoriously bad road for accidents, and it's busy and stuff. So he was really lucky that he never got ran over. But then why take it out on the poor sheep that are just in the field minding their own business? You know,
you never know. Like, if he's just angry about something and then he's seen the sheep and he's like, "And you cunt, what are you looking at?" and has just stormed over to have a go at them about it. I think he's pretty lucky that he got off with 150 hours community service. When you compare him to in the last episode, we had the guy wanking outside Ibrox and he got like 180 days in jail.
I think perhaps the fact that his partner refused to make a statement might have might have saved him a bit of more severe punishment, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that he's quite lucky in this instance that he got off quite lightly. So he hasn't had a drink since. So I hope that he stays on the straight and narrow and avoids petrol stations and sheep for. For the near future as well.
He could have said, right, if he was a St Johnstone fan, right, he could have said, "Oh, Aberdeen beat my team that day and I got drunk and I just went and took my frustration out on the sheep. That's why I shouted at the sheep, because the Dons beat St Johnstone."
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. At least it would been an inventive excuse.
Well, yeah, that's true. I suppose it is more inventive than I was on foot medication and I shouldn't have been drinking.
Yeah.
Like,
if the judge was a St Johnstone's fan, he might have gone a bit easier on him. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah. Bloody stinking Dons fans. Quite right. Give those sheep some abuse.
Yeah. 50 quid fine for pissing on a little boy, and we won't say anything else about the other things.
There you go. On your way. Don't do anything again. Yeah. I find it amusing that the staff, they had to wait until he actually came in before they realised he was intoxicated. I don't know what gave it away in terms of the shouting angrily, getting out and then having a piss against the car. It's normal behaviour, really.
And having no top on. The northeast.
Yes. Well, it was May, so maybe it was a sunny day.
Maybe.
You know what it's like in Scotland, the first sight of sun and the taps off. But I'll be honest, he's not there's a photo of Thomas arriving at court. He has on what I can only say looks like a fake Lyle Scott polo shirt and a jacket, and what hair he has clinging on to is, it does look like he's spat in his hand and just wiped it down on his forehead to try and look like that. So anyway, never mind. Good luck, Thomas. I hope you're on the straight and narrow now. So what else have you seen this week, Greg?
Well, as we just alluded to, like, usually our stories, they usually involve someone's misfortune, a bit of the unusual behaviour or whatever. So I thought I would change the tone entirely and celebrate a really positive story that comes from Aberdeen Live. It was up on the 11th of April, so it's a few weeks old. But this is the Aberdeen coach who invented the football dugout as we know it now. So Donald Coleman, he was born in Renton in 1878. He would have a successful footballing career, playing for Aberdeen over 300 times, winning 4 caps for Scotland. But it's his impact off the pitch is what he's remembered for. He would discover his love for coach when he came back from World War I. He became a player coach at Dumbarton. However, it was during a summer stint coaching in Norway that the former Scotland international would come up with his innovative and unique idea. Coleman was obsessed with player positioning and possession-based play, fully focusing on his players' footwork. When he returned to Aberdeen in 1931, he remembered the way the Norwegian coaches would shelter from the weather in open-face huts. He ordered staff at Pittodrie to dig a sunken shelter at the side of the pitch so he could be in eye line with his players' feet to watch the way they worked with the ball more closely. The coach was now closer to the action and his notes remained dry no matter the weather. A few years after the installation of the first ever dugout in football, Everton visited Pittodrie for a friendly and they were amazed by the innovation. They were so impressed by the shelter that they introduced dugouts to Goodison Park when they got back to Liverpool. The dugout at Pittodrie remained installed at the halfway line until 1968, when the main stand was redeveloped. Before his groundbreaking idea, managers would just sit on a bench at the side of the pitch. The dugout quickly spread throughout the world of football following its introduction. Now teams from around the globe and at every level of the game play on a pitch where there are dugouts, and it's all down to Donald Coleman. His legacy still lives on. His great-granddaughter Rachel Corsie plays for Aston Villa Ladies, and she captains the Scotland women's team. But Donald was inducted into the Aberdeen Hall of Fame in 2018, and there is a plaque up. For some reason, they haven't said exactly where it is. It's obviously in Aberdeen because you can see the distinctive granite bricks, but there's a plaque. Donald Coleman, 1878 to 1942, captain and trainer of Aberdeen FC, inventor of the football dugout, lived here. Maybe we'll try and find out where that is, and we can maybe go and have a wee look when we're back in Aberdeen. But I thought, man, I lived in Aberdeen for years, and I had no idea about Donald Coleman and how it was an Aberdeen coach had invented the dugout. It's massive, right?
It's the two kind of famous facts about Pittodrie Stadium, that it was the first ground to have a dugout, and it was the first all-seater stadium in the UK.
Right.
Was Pittodrie. And now it's a complete shithole falling apart. But it was that's always the kind of two main facts about Pittodrie. That's always quite a good thing. But yeah, that's a fantastic story. I didn't realise that Rachel Corsie was his granddaughter. I know that she is the Scotland captain. So that's, wow, I did not realise that at all.
Yep.
No, that's wonderful. Something like that, as you say, that someone from Aberdeen has had such an impact in world football. And if you think how much dugouts have kind of progressed nowadays, like his original dugout was, I guess, kind of like a bunker in a way, with a great idea on the eye line, whereas now they're all sitting in basically armchairs, like sponsored by Audi at the side of the stadium, and all heated seats and everything. It's the level of comfort that they have nowadays.
But they don't seem as sort of sunken, you know what I mean? Like it says in the article that he wanted to kind of pay attention to where the players were putting their feet when they were moving the ball around and stuff, and that's why they had it like a bit deeper, I guess, than what you see in the modern game. You know, they seem just to be in the same level as the pitch, right? Or maybe slightly sunken.
No, I'd say they are. Yeah, it's basically back to the original in terms of it is almost like they're sitting on benches at the side that you have nowadays, and that's why you don't see it as often nowadays. But you used to get managers that would often go and sit in the stand so they could get a better view of the pitch, and I think see what maybe the fans can see as well. So, or I think maybe they have people sitting there, maybe relaying information to them, but because they need to be on the touchline to shout instructions. But yeah, it does seem that they've almost departed from that kind of idea of a sunken dugout.
Yeah. So maybe we can go, and if his old gaff isn't too far away, we can maybe go and check it out when we're in town at the end of May.
Yeah, I'll have to have a Google about that and see where it is. I mean, we've got plenty of time in our hands, so we can have a wander around and see.
That'll kill 5 minutes.
Get our photo taken there. Yeah, we'll have a little photo shoot. That'll kill a bit more time.
So yeah, I thought that would have a change of pace there for us this week. Well, I'm sure.
Oh, very nice.
I'm sure you're going to bring us right back to normal with the next story.
Well, actually, I'm not really. I have a bit of a different story this week as well, and it also has a bit of an Aberdeen slant on it. So obviously, seagulls. We've discussed seagulls before in the Swally. They're quite notorious in Aberdeen, and they're a bit of a menace in terms of the stealing people's food and stuff, and you often see clips of seagulls swooping onto people, and being a general menace in Aberdeen. And I think I've told the story before that Aberdeen actually hired it was a kestrel or an eagle to scare away seagulls on the pitch, but it ended quite badly for a seagull one day, so it stopped. Anyway, so this story is from the Scottish Mirror this week, and it's a UFO expert who believes that seagulls could be an alien species sent to Earth to spy on humanity. And honestly, It makes a lot of sense. That's the article that says that, not me. So this is Nick Pope, who worked as a government advisor and investigated UFOs for the Ministry of Defence, has urged people to be distrustful of this greedy gulls. He said that besides stealing chips and ice creams, they could pose a more serious threat by collecting evidence for an advanced alien race. And Nick said that aliens could be using the birds to survey us and send secrets back to the mothership. He said, if aliens want to hack into and control a living organism or construct a drone that's a perfect mimic, it would be best to choose something ordinary, like a seagull or a housefly. Something you wouldn't normally pay much attention to, perhaps. But all the time, it would be spying on us, recording everything, and sending information about us back to their alien homeworld. So next time you move to swat a fly, watch out. Your actions might start an interstellar war. Nick added that if aliens are secretly monitoring Earth, they'll be doing it close up and personal, not with telescopes, and it would be a way to enable them to get crystal clear images and recordings from right under our noses. He thinks that any civilization capable of getting here from other star systems, I don't know why I'm stuttering so much today, any civilization capable of getting here from other star systems undoubtedly has technology that would seem like magic to us, and they might be able to implant a living creature with tiny cameras and recording devices. So yeah, he thinks that it would be indistinguishable from any other animal or bird or insect. I know it sounds like science fiction, but it isn't. So Nick, I want some of what you've been smoking, but this is I've heard this before in terms of not aliens, but it's not a big conspiracy theory in the States that the government killed all the birds about 40 years ago and implanted drones that fly around and spy on people. A genuine conspiracy theory. I've heard it on a podcast before. People think that, I can't remember if it was JFK or if it was Nixon. I think it was Nixon killed all the birds and employed these robot birds to spy on the states, the citizens of the United States. I have to look that up. So, do you believe that seagulls are not an alien race, but alien technology that are just stealing chips and ice cream and reporting back on what the kids at Robert Gordon's in Aberdeen are buying for their lunch?
I mean, when you said that your man Nick was contending that it would be something that you wouldn't really pay much attention to, I think maybe Nick needs a bit of attention. And that's what this is all about. I mean, he may be feeling a bit neglected or something, and he wants people to pay attention to him, because I've never heard such utter horseshit in my fucking life. What a lot of nonsense.
I mean, this is a trusted man, Greg. He's a former government advisor, investigated UFOs for the Ministry of Defence.
Yeah. I mean, being anything to do with the government is not a particularly laudable thing at the moment, especially this week when that minister got caught watching porn got caught watching porn on his phone in the Houses of Parliament, and his defence was that he was trying to look up tractors and he must have spelt something wrong or something. So yeah, I don't think being a former government advisor is going to buy Nick a hell of a lot of credibility. I mean, like, seagulls they can be a nuisance. I know that the sort of older generations in Torry, just outside Aberdeen, they believed that the seagulls had the souls of the fishermen that were lost at sea in them. I remember hearing that when I lived in Aberdeen. And to be honest, that sounds more plausible than what fucking Nick's on about, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's I don't quite know where he's going with that in terms of it's a very odd theory to have that, why seagulls? Why would you pick? Because seagulls you don't get them in every town,
no,
really, do you? Surely it'd be pigeons would be a better suggestion.
Yeah.
Or is it because seagulls can they're a bit harder, You're not going to mess with a seagull, really.
Yeah, I mean, those seagulls in Aberdeen, they're fucking huge sometimes. When you see them one up close with its wings fully out, they're massive, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
But the thing is, if you consider like a seagull's behaviour, they don't like sit on your window ledge and kind of peer in your house or anything like that. They're just scavenging for bits of food all the time, or you see them bobbing about on the sea, that's all they're doing. They're not, I don't know, like, what they're surveilling from Aberdeen Beach, 30, 40 feet out to sea.
Well, who knows, Greg? Information that might not seem relevant to us could be very relevant to are alien overlords. You just never know.
Information about the world's hardest surfers that take their boards out off Aberdeen Beach. Men and women who know neither cold nor hot.
Well, maybe we'll find out one day when our aliens come down to talk to us, and they'll tell us all the information that they've discovered from the seagulls.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure what any advanced alien race could hope to learn from the way we fucking manage our lives. You know what I mean? What not to do.
Oh, never mind. Have you seen anything else this week?
No, it wasn't. It was one of those news weeks where sort of 90% of the headlines and stories in the Scottish media were all fucking grim as fuck. Like super grim.
Yeah, they really were. The only other thing I saw that I thought, I can see why this is made news, of course, because it often does. And did you see about the SNP MP, Mary Black? So this has happened before. I think like Diane Abbott got done for this in England. She was caught drinking a can of Marks and Spencer's gin and tonic on a train. And of course, drinking on a train is not allowed moment. So, and she had to make like a public apology for this stuff. So Murray Black, who is the SNP member for Paisley and Renfrewshire South, was filmed sculling a can of Tennent's on a train on her way back from Ayr United versus Partick Thistle. And there's a huge crowd like round her, and there's guys with bottles of Buckfast and stuff, and she's just sat there literally sculling a can of Tennent's. And people are saying, oh, it's outrageous. The booze ban's been in place for 18 months. There's no exemption for politicians. Oh, come on. She's on her way back from a match. Like, I understand if she was, sipping a Prosecco or something, but she's sculling a can of Tennent's. Good on her.
What's the reason for the booze ban on the train? Is it to do with the pandemic?
I'm not sure. Since November 2020, alcohol has been banned in stations and on trains at any time of day, and anyone showing signs of intoxication are not permitted to travel, and they're not allowed to carry visible alcohol open or unopened, it says. So I never realised this. But yeah, apparently it's in place. I think I did read about this on the Aberdeen forum. People were saying, can you have a beer on the train and stuff? And I think it's a case of as long as you don't act the goat. Yeah. And, if you have like a little can kind of by the side of you or something and you're sipping on it, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
But I think it's to discourage, having like a 12-pack of Tennent's on your table or something and getting pissed. But these guys are all openly drinking, but I guess football crowd, the conductor's probably just like, I can't be arsed.
Yeah. I know.
With this, so.
He probably doesn't agree with the rule either. He probably feels that it's... I mean, like, one of the best things about going on the train is the fact that you can have a couple of beers. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a long journey.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. There was a lot of train journeys I would have had down to Glasgow or down further south, and it was lovely. In fact, we had a good train journey down to Glasgow. We went with our mutual friend, and we were taking the piss out of him.
Yeah, that was on the way back up. Yeah, it was the way back. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was living in Glasgow, and I used to come up to Aberdeen to visit you guys like fairly regularly. I got the train after work one night. So I was up there by about 5:30, and I ended up sitting beside these guys who lived in the kind of Glasgow area, older than me, but they were going offshore. And the carry-out that they had to get through, and it's probably about 3 hours, maybe just inside 3 hours from Queen Street to Aberdeen train station. I mean, honestly, they all had like 6 cans each, plus. One of them had a bottle of spiced rum. Another guy had a 75, like a kind of bar bottle. Another guy had a half bottle of whiskey. I had a few drinks with them on the way up. I was fucking hammered by the time I stepped off the train in Aberdeen. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking starving and steaming.
It's just part of the train journey experience, though, I would say, getting a carry out and getting on the train. Get your carry out, your daily record, your son, copy of Viz, and off you go.
I know. Wait, when I saw that Maddie Black story, I think I saw it, maybe it was on the Scottish Sun I saw it, and they described her as guzzling down Tennent's. It was like, obviously, Maddie Black's politics and Rupert Murdoch's politics don't align. But yeah, according to the Scottish Sun, she was guzzling down a can of Tennent's.
Shocking behaviour. Good on her, I say. Well done, Mary.
Yeah.
Okay then. Right. Well, I guess that sums up the news in Scotland this week. So before we go on to what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
If you go down to the Brown Bear sale, you're in for a big surprise. It's lovely to shop at the Brown Bear sale, where everything looks so nice. Room after room, it's all on display. There's even a place where children can play. Brown Bear's the store that's really packed full of surprises. If you go down to the Brown Bear sale, you hardly believe the price. There's lots in stock and no need to wait. Sundays till 6 and weekdays till 8. Brown Bear's the store that's full of bargain prices. You're in for a big surprise.
Okay, Greg, so it was your choice this week on the Swally. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
All right, well, I chose the 1999 movie starring Billy Connolly, Ken Stott and Francesca Annis, The Debt Collector. I hadn't seen it since... I only seen it once, and that was when it first came out. I was keen to watch it again. So it was written and directed by Scottish dramatist Anthony Neilson. Stars Billy Connolly, Ken Stott, Francesca Annis, Ian MacDonald, and a whole host of little appearances from some very familiar faces. The story is loosely based on Jimmy Boyle, who was a gangster and gang member in Glasgow in the 1960s. He went to jail for 20 years and he discovered art and kind of reformed himself through art. This Debt Collector tells the story of Nickie Dryden, played by Billy Connolly, who is a former gangster, loan shark, I guess. He's notorious for torturing and wounding the people that owed money to his boss. He's arrested near the beginning of the movie by Ken Stott's policeman Gary Kelty, and much like the aforementioned Mr. Boyle, reforms himself in prison, becomes an artist, and is released. But Gary Kelty, played by Ken Stott, can't forget the things that he did and sets out on a bit of a vendetta against Nicky to show him for what he feels he is, a thug and a gangster, as opposed to like a well-adjusted artist. So, what did you think on your revisit of The Debt Collector?
Well, similar to you, I've only seen this once, and it was round about the time it came out. I was trying to remember. It must have been when it was first shown on TV.
Right.
I saw it, because I distinctly remember watching it, and I know where I was. I was in my bedroom in Aberdeen, I remember, and watching it again, there were a few key scenes that I definitely remember from that first viewing. I don't think I rented it or anything, so it must have been when it was first aired on TV.
Yeah.
Watching it again, I apart from a couple of scenes that I could remember in my head, I couldn't really remember a huge amount about it. So it was it was great to kind of watch it again for like kind of almost the first time and see actors in terms of Ken Stott. And of course, we've covered a few Billy Connolly pieces on the Swally before, but this was kind of right in his time when he was being taken seriously as an actor around Mrs. Brown and things like that. So this was quite a key piece for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was on a kind of burn, Billy Connolly, that you say. He had done Mrs. Brown with Judi Dench in 1997. Very, very well received. So, like, yeah, I guess, this was like his... if you look at all the things Billy Connolly's done, there's not many things that he's played the lead in, And I think this was definitely his first lead role as Nickie Dryden. But the same year, I mean, this must have been one of Billy Connolly's best years in terms of just making good choices and being in successful films, because he did Still Crazy, which is the sort of ensemble movie with Bill Nighy and Jimmy Neal and Timothy Spall about the bands getting back together. And he did the Boondock Saints in the US, the movie with your man out of The Walking Dead in it and William Dafoe. And that's a really good film, so he's really a great year for him, and it doesn't really get he doesn't really get to that again in his career as an actor. Everything else that he does after The Debt Collector, he's a co-star at best, apart from maybe The Man Who Sued God, but that one he did in Australia,
And I mean, the items that we've covered on the Swally that he's been in, this is by far, as you say, it's his leading role. This is by far his most serious role as well, in terms of everything we've covered, and it's almost a trajectory. We had him in, Just Another Saturday, where he's very much just playing himself.
Yeah.
And terms of that. And then, of course, he's in Down Among the Big Boys, which there's a lot of comedy in that role as well. And then, of course, recently, his character is kind of the comic relief in a way in The Big Man, although he does, it's quite a serious role. But there's not a lot of comedy in this.
No.
In terms of, it's a bloody difficult film to watch in places. There's at least 3 scenes that I would say that I found very difficult to watch. And yeah, it's definitely not a laugh a minute. He's a very serious character. And you can tell, obviously, he's a troubled individual. But so in terms of saying what did I think of it? Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting film to watch. I did enjoy it. I think the main reason that I enjoyed it so much is Ken Stott's performance, which we'll come into. But yeah, there's a couple of places it's really difficult to watch. Kind of thought it was a bit long in places as well. It could be a little bit cut out. Yeah, overall, I did enjoy watching it, but yeah.
I mean, tonally, it's a bit of a strange film because, like, the opening scene, which I think it might be the best scene in the film, potentially.
Yeah.
But the opening scene where we're in the mid-70s, we're in the bar, they've got Billy Connolly, they've done a great job of making Billy Connolly look like he looked in the 1970s, you know what I mean, albeit his hair a little bit shorter and without the big long beard. They're playing the Seeker by The Who, you know what I mean? That's the sort of sound, they play the whole song, and it's the sort of soundtrack to the scene, and the movie feels a bit like it's going to be something a sort of kind of Tarantino-esque in terms of format, not necessarily in terms of the plot, but in terms of the kind of format with, with some kind of, maybe not so well known pop songs, unexpected violence maybe here and there. But then when it comes into the modern day, it's just it feels like it's overly dramatic. And a couple of the scenes, one in particular that we'll talk about later, I kind of felt, well, I don't really understand why they felt the need to have the character do that. You know what I mean? Because what he was doing was bad enough anyway in terms of terrorising a woman, and the thing is as well, with that character, we're kind of supposed to see him as the virtuous one, Ken Stott is Kelty, he's a policeman. He makes a couple of speeches in the film about how important he sees the police as being and the role of a police officer and the duty of a police officer and stuff. And then, they sort of make him something else for the last acts of the movie. And you're sort of left wondering who you're supposed to root for,
As you say, I think you hit the nail on the head. That opening scene is brilliant in terms of the atmosphere. As you say, you've got the Who on the background, you've got the snooker tables behind. You really feel we've been in like a snooker hall like that. The smoky atmosphere and just the sound of the balls hitting each other in the background. Yeah. Billy Connolly is very menacing. The way he's sitting there, and you're kind of working, what the hell's going on here? And the beautiful speech he kind of gives about coming the fuck, and you're instantly thinking, I like this. And then when Stott flashes the warrant card, says you're under arrest, you got the flash of the knife and hitting the table, the beautiful old McEwan's export ashtray just dancing there as the knife hits the table. And you're thinking, oh yes, this is going to be good. And then it's just like, okay, 18 years later, here's Connolly driving with this woman who obviously turns out is his wife, and off to his art exhibition. Yeah. I think, okay, so this is going to be a film about how he's, I kind of don't know where he's going. Has he been redeemed? Is he still doing stuff underground? But when Kelty comes in to the exhibition at the beginning, then you're like, okay, this is where it's going. He's still keeping an eye on Nicky after all these years, and he's just waiting for him to slip up.
Fancy fucking words.
Craig, do you want to escort this gentleman out? Call the police.
He is the police.
Landed on your feet then, Nicky.
How's your cell?
No too good, tell you the truth. My mince and tatties is repeating on me. What with all this talk of forgiveness.
As you say, it's odd the way the film goes. It is just Kelty terrorising Nicky for majority of the film. And I would have to ask, why? Is it because he's waiting for him to slip up? You're almost thinking he's done something to him in the past, but I don't understand. I think that's I guess another discussion point. Nicky's served his time, so Kelty is so, and as you say, he delivers a couple of passionate speeches about the police and what they're there for, and he does say, we failed, but he's arrested Nicky. He's served his time. Why is he having this one-man vendetta against him? Is it because he thinks he's obviously done a lot more than he served his time for, and he shouldn't have been let out of jail, and he's just waiting for something else to happen?
I think that's the implication. In the scene where Valerie's sister's getting married and Kelty turns up at the wedding with all where they got a load of victims of Nicky's from before he went to jail. He's got the mother of the son he's suspected of murdering. He went to jail for murdering. He's got people that have been scarred and everything like that. So I think that is supposed to inform Kelty's behaviour, in that, he's served 18 years, but in his mind, that hasn't been enough punishment to fit all the things that he's done. And he's taken it upon himself. And I think the fact as well that Dryden's sort of reinvented himself, and all these kind of well-to-do, arty people are all over him, interested in his work, and he sort of joined this more elevated level of society that just makes Kelty sick.
As you say, Kelty's still working as a police officer. He's looking after his mother. He doesn't have a wife or a significant other, and that's very true. Maybe he is jealous of Nicky coming out and, as you say, being well-to-do. He's doing interviews on the radio, and Kelty's kind of losing the plot, fuck, yeah, you cunt. And as he's phoning him up, he's obviously jealous about Valerie that Nicky's now married to, as he calls her a classy bit of gash. And he's...
Kelty? Shh, keep your voice down. Wouldn't want to wake your lovely lady wife now, would we?
Now, what's the score with that? Nicky. What's the odds of classy about a gash at like twice as scum like you?
Could be the money, could be the fame. But you know what I think? I think it's just shagging a murderer turns her on.
Fuck you. Because all her fancy pal gab on about you if it's
right, or if it's proper, but then they go home to their milksop husbands and dream about a real man.
Someone who wouldn't
Nicky, hang on.
Put up with their wee affairs.
Someone who'd turn heads in Safeways.
Some knuckle-dragging cunt.
Guard up Newtown snatches. Well,
murder if need be.
It's something, and he even shows his mother a photo of Valerie, saying that it's his new girlfriend. It's something that he's an unhinged character, but you're kind of on his side in a way up until just towards the end, where we'll come to, but that's when he lost all sympathy from my side. But it's a strange reason that he's just a one-man vendetta against him, but it's almost like he's, as you say, maybe he's jealous of him trying to his new life.
But again, there's a scene where after Valerie's son has been murdered, and it's a funeral, and Nicky comes out of the crematorium, I guess, and he sees Kelty on the other side of the cemetery, and the camera comes to Kelty, and Kelty says something like, "That's enough, Nicky," or something like that. So I thought, so that's him. He's not a bad guy, although he's suspected of killing Valerie's son. He sort of said, it's like he sort of thinks, right, well, look, enough's enough. You've lost this stepchild, and he seems like he's done with it until Nicky sort of inadvertently has Kelty's mother seriously assaulted, and that just, to your point, that just kind of pushes him over the edge,
Yeah, you're right, actually. That makes complete sense. You're in terms of that graveyard scene when he does say that's enough, Nicky. That's very true. That is almost him saying, okay, right, we're done now.
That's enough.
But yeah, obviously he does get pushed over the edge again with his mum's assault.
Yeah. But they could have. I don't understand why Nielsen felt he had to take Kelty in that direction. You know what I mean? Because he could still have had what happened to Kelty's mother happen in the script, but Kelty sort of kind of come out of it the bigger man. Because at the end of the day, his mum was assaulted because Dryden's gone to his old boss and asked him to find somebody to teach Kelty a lesson. You know what I mean? And it's just unfortunate that Donnie picks Ian McDonald's Flipper, who's probably the most unhinged character in the whole movie, to do it, you know?
Flipper, played by Ian Robertson, obviously he looks up to Nickie Dryden. He aspires to kind of be him, and it's all about the policy that Nickie Dryden had when he was a debt collector. As he does say to Valerie in one scene, the policy effectively was if you couldn't pay the money, then rather than take it out on you, they would take it out on your loved ones or relatives, or as he alludes to, children as well. So I think that's why Flipper has obviously read his book and it just idolizes this guy, because as we see all the newspaper clippings on his wall, so he thinks that he's doing him a favor by sort of a homage to what he used to do of this policy. But of course nothing could really be further from the truth. It's not what Nicky wanted at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know, maybe Nielsen doesn't like the police. I don't know, but I don't know why they felt that. They felt that that had to happen to Kelty, and the fact he has Kelty when he goes to Dryden's house to try and find him, their lovely South Queensferry house. What an amazing house that is, right? A big view of a view of the Forth and the Forth Rail Bridge out the window, demanding that, and like, what would have, he goes demanding to know where Nicky is, which is fair enough, but then to have him terrorise and then rape Valerie, played by Francesca Annis, and she still doesn't tell him. He only happens to come across the invitation to the tattoo on the floor because she had an invitation and she chose not to go. So Dryden went by himself. I don't know, just a strange choice. I thought. But, I'm not a success.
Well, that's it, because you're thinking, I'm very much on the side of Kelty up until he rapes Francesca, and then you think, okay, I don't know who to feel sorry for here now. It's just all this because and you kind of feel sorry for Nicky in a way, because do we think he is genuinely trying to put himself on the straight and narrow? He doesn't like talking about what's been done in the past. He tries to kind of avoid it when Francesca's asking him about the policy and things. And it's a testament to Billy Connolly's acting ability in this. You can tell he's really pained to talk about the things that he's done in the past. And he doesn't like to talk about it. When Flipper's asking him about, if he could work for him and if he could collect money, he's, I don't do that anymore. It's all behind me. He is genuinely trying to rebuild his life and be on the straight and narrow, but it's Kelty that effectively pushes him back into the violent lifestyle in terms of when he takes out on Flipper. But of course it's so he's really pushed him towards it. So I do genuinely believe that Nicky was trying to do the right thing. But Kelty's pushed him there, so it's why you kind of feel sorry for him. But you also feel sorry for Kelty because he kind of feels like he's trying to avenge what's happened to these poor people that Nicky's taken out on, back in the 70s.
You have sympathy for Kelty anyway earlier in the film, because he's suspended near the beginning of the film for his outburst or his intrusion at the art show. Then we see him at his mum's. She's worried about him because he's supposed to be sort of middle-aged. He's got no family. He's just looking after his mum. He's having to make up a girlfriend to make his mum feel a bit better about everything, and he kind of teases her about the mansion that he's going to get her and all this kind of thing. So you do have sympathy for him, but then just to have that sympathy just drains away in the last sort of 15 minutes or 15-20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it just becomes completely unhinged, and it's just all consumed by his hatred of Nicky, and he really wants to do anything. And as he says to him at the end, he's taken her away from him because every time Valerie looks at Nicky now, she'll just see Kelty's face. And that's why he's trying to justify his actions and what he's done.
Yeah, to himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose like the next kind of big part, we've mentioned him already, is Flipper, played by Ian Robertson. A good role for him. He was having a good year that year as well. He did The Debt Collector. He did if you remember, a drama. It was on Channel 4 called Psychos. That was on in the late 90s. He was the part in that. And he also had a small part in Plunkett and McLean before being a regular on Grange Hill, of all things, as a fairly stereotypical wee Scottish Neddy thug.
Well, that's what I had in my notes, because, of course, this is 4 years after he was in Small Faces, which we covered, obviously, last year, I think, wherever you get your podcast still available. And I did think that his stint on Grange Hill obviously did him well in terms of his learning his acting chops, because he is brilliant in this. I mean, he's brilliant in Small Faces.
Yeah.
But you can see he's really matured, and he is a very believable kind of nutter. But it's more of his admiration for Nicky and wanting to please him. But, you know, the first scene where you see him and he's sort of standing, almost having this little taxi driver moment of asking in a mirror, and then cuts to him in the alleyway asking this couple for the tenner that he owes him.
Yeah.
And you instantly know that he's just this menacing character that's not to be trusted at all.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, and I think that's I think one of the problems with the film is that it starts very strong in how all the characters are introduced. All their scenes are really strong, especially this one that you're talking about with when he's out in the van with his two mates, and he ends up, and it's quite a, I'm sure we've probably seen guys like that in our lives. You know what I mean? Maybe not quite as, maybe not guys that would take it as far as Flipper takes it, but just like fucking, that's sort of thuggish little cunts. But then of course he ends up knocking out Miss Hooley off Ballymorey instead of punching instead of punching her boyfriend. Poor old Miss Hooley. Yeah, so but no, he's good in this. I think he does the Edinburgh accent well, although he does say Raj a bit too often, I think. But he's a good part for him. I think now he's a regular on River City, and he has a kind of hill walking program as well that he does.
Oh yeah,
for STV or BBC One Scotland. I'm not sure which. I've seen some clips of him like doing the West Highland Way and stuff.
As you say, I mean, obviously he sticks it on Miss Hooley. And I find that scene quite uncomfortable, but it was okay. But the scene that I remember vividly watching when I watched it the first time, and as soon as I saw him and his mate breaking into the swimming pool, I was like, shite, I remember what happens next.
Yeah.
And I find it very uncomfortable when he slashes Ford Kiernan in the face.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to see that. And of course, it ends up effectively killing him because he has a heart attack.
That's right.
Horrible kind of scene to watch. Just the sinisterness of he creeps up behind him effectively in the pool, and then just gives him a big slash across the face with a knife.
Yeah, and it was it was good to see Ford Kiernan in there, but he when he turns to Flipper in the pool when he realises he's behind him, his angry face is the same angry face that he does in Chewing the Fat characters, like the angry guy in Chewing the Fat. When when he has Jack and Still Game looking angry, like his eyebrows kind of raise and do something weird, and your sort of bottom jaw kind of drops down and everything. I mean, you only see it for a split second before the kind of act of violence, but he's only got a couple of minutes on the screen and he fucking goes for it. Ford Kiernan. Give him his due, especially when you see him lying at the side of the pool and he's having the heart. I think he's supposed to be having the heart attack then. I think when you see it, you think that he's in shock.
Yeah.
But after we find out what happened to him, it's obviously that's when having his heart attack. But yeah, I thought when I was watching it that it was his friend that he stabbed, Flipper, in the pool. I don't know, because he's being pretty menacing even before the security guard catches them in the water.
Yeah. Well, because he's speaking about how he knows Nickie Dryden.
Yeah, that's
and his
right.
mate's effectively taking the piss out of him, saying, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And he's, getting a little bit kind of, oh, no, I know him. Very much unhinged. And, well, very unhinged, because when he does speak to Nicky, Nicky kind of palms him off. And, well, he doesn't, takes him up and they look at the art, and then he kind of palms him off because he has to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
And when he sees Nicky just putting his arm on his stepson, then you can see the jealous rage, and you're thinking, oh no, what's he going to do? And then he ends up fucking killing his stepson.
I mean, one of the biggest sort of unanswered questions about this film is why did they not get an actor to play Valerie's son? Because that guy that plays him, he is fucking dreadful. He doesn't even look convincing when he's supposed to be dead. You know what I mean? When they take the sheet off and all that, I mean, it's absolutely appalling. I don't know why they wouldn't just who could you put in? You could have had fucking Joe McFadden or something, at least, and kind of given the character a bit of personality at least, you know what I mean? But I don't think he has any lines. He sits about with his spiky hair, and he's got a slightly gothy girlfriend and his mate and all that, and then it's smoking dope with his mum, and then he gets plunged by Flipper. You know what I mean?
Well, it'll come as no surprise to you, Greg, that is his only acting credit that he has there. But then, did you notice who his girlfriend was?
It's Shona MacDonald, right? Is that?
Yeah, who obviously goes on to play Carol and Filth, and she's in The Scots. Yeah, so thankfully she's gone on to a lot better things than her boyfriend. But I agree. Yeah, I think the only thing of note he really does is give a little flash of his belt buckle for the wedding, which I could see is meant to be a plot point later on when Nicky kind of takes it out on Flipper for what he did to Kelty's mum. But he drops the belt buckle, and you're thinking, oh, is he a way to discover this? But no, he doesn't even fucking notice it. Kind of stops beside him.
For some reason, in my memory, the reason that Dryden beats Flipper to death, essentially, is because he sees him with the belt buckle, or or Flipper was wearing it or something like that. In my memory, that's how that scene played out, rather than it sort of the belt buckle rolling dramatically down the kind of alley, and like you say, fucking doesn't even notice.
Yeah,
so that it was purely for the audience's benefit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the way you've described it would make a lot more sense in terms of if he had seen the belt buckle and then completely lost it. But yeah, as you say, and when he drops it and you see it rolling towards him, you're thinking, okay, he's a way to realise and go back and maybe give him another doing, even though he's already dead.
Yeah,
he doesn't even fucking see it. Very, very strange part that in terms of what was the point of it?
I don't feel that Billy Connolly is always a brilliant actor, to be honest. I think there are things that there's things that he is good in. I don't think that he puts in a tour de force throughout this whole film. Albeit, I do think there are scenes that he's very good in, and the one that I think he's the one that he's particularly good in is the scene that we're talking about, and it's after he's lost his temper and battered Flipper. And then he's trying to calm himself down. He's trying to sort of make it all right, obviously not realising how much damage he's done to Flipper. I thought he was good there. He was really good. You know what I mean? I thought. But yeah, when he loses his patience at the wedding, that whole bit is... I laughed a bit at that. When Ken Stott is leaving the wedding with everybody, and he's just all of a sudden, you don't even see him kind of build up to it. He just Kelty! And everyone's after him, you know what I mean? And they're rolling about in the grass as he's trying to strangle him. I just thought, maybe played that a bit better.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. It maybe was a little bit over the top. I think Ken Stott rescues that scene as well when they're kind of pulled apart. And he does say that your sentence didn't end the day you stepped out of Stott, and it's only just begun. And brilliant performance from Stott overall, I think.
He's really
good. Such a wonderful way with a swear word as well, because there's a lot of swearing in this film in terms of there's a lot of uses of the C word, and there's a lot of colourful language, but he's got a wonderful way around it as well.
I mean, and he must have played a policeman more than maybe any other actor in his kind of peer group, because he's famous. He's obviously playing a policeman here. He played D.I. Pat Chappell in The Vice. He played DCI Metcalf in Messiah. Famously, he plays Rebus in the TV adaptations of Ian Rankin's books. You know what I mean? So and it's like I can't think of anybody else who's played a policeman more than Ken Stott.
He's the policeman in Shallow Grave as well.
Oh, of course, yeah, Shallow Grave, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You could be right, yeah. He's but he's very, very good, very convincing as a kind of downtrodden policeman there.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought about this as well is obviously it's set in Edinburgh, but a lot of it was filmed in Glasgow because of part of the Glasgow Film Council.
The Glasgow Film Fund. Yeah.
And I found that they really hammered home when they did have parts of Edinburgh to show.
Yeah.
It was almost like honestly, it is Edinburgh. In terms of for example, as we said, Nicky and Valerie's house, which is fucking incredible, but it's, it looks right onto the Forth Road Bridge.
Yeah.
And then I think it's when you discover that Valerie's son has been killed, and you just see all these random shots of Edinburgh as a kind of cutaway before you get, I guess it's to show passing of time or something, but it's not really. It just seems that they've really just shoehorned in, and then to have the climax at Edinburgh Castle as well during the tattoo.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little bit like bashing over the head. I promise you this film is set in Edinburgh. Like, I know it looks like Glasgow, but it's 100% Edinburgh. Yeah, felt a bit forced to me in places that. But I guess maybe only Scots people would notice that.
They should Glasgow has, like you mentioned, the Glasgow Film Council, and there's like a Glasgow Film Fund and stuff, and there's been a lot of things filmed in Glasgow, especially most recently. I mean, they just finished filming Batgirl a couple of weeks ago, and it seems to have been predominantly shot in Glasgow, so it's been going on for ages. The Flash movie, they shot a scene at the Necropolis in Glasgow for the Batman movie, the one that's out just now with Ian Patterson. They did Indiana Jones, the latest Indiana Jones movie.
Ian Patterson, the creator of Rhapsody Nesbitt.
Oh, yeah, he's the new Batman. Robert Pattinson, beg your pardon. And yeah, they've just filmed. They've done some scenes for the new Indiana Jones movie in Glasgow as well. And I've always thought to myself, what about Edinburgh? And maybe they do, and you just don't hear about it. But Edinburgh hosts the film festival at the Edinburgh Festival every year. It's a very striking city, especially in the city centre. You know, I mean, I don't go to Edinburgh that often because I don't really have any reason to go. But when I do go, and I think because I don't go there very often, I always find it really striking. When you come off the train in Waverley and you come up out the station onto Princes Street, you know what I mean? I can't think of anywhere else like it. So I don't know why they don't film more stuff there, because you've got the old town, which could be used for period stuff. You've got the new town. You've got loads of variety there for movie locations.
Is it maybe because it's too recognisable? Like
maybe.
When you see Edinburgh, you kind of know. And I mean, a lot of films make it look beautiful, as we've discussed on the Swally before. You know, like Sunshine on Leith, for example, or even Trainspotting 2 when they're running up Arthur's Seat. You know, Edinburgh is such a beautiful city, but it's just because they filmed those places, but it's instantly recognisable. Whereas Glasgow seems to be the type of place you can transform into a different place, because there's quite a lot of different architecture and different buildings there. So, don't know. But yeah, it's quite an interesting point.
Yeah. Coming back on to Ken Stott. So, way back in 2020, we did the pilot episode of Taggart.
Yes.
And now the first sort of proper non-pilot episode is called Murder in Season, I think it's called. And Ken Stott is in it, and he plays a very good part indeed. So maybe we should maybe stick that episode, or that series of Taggart on the slate for a future episode, because we've not had an awful lot of Ken Stott on the Swally, I don't think, have we?
No, we haven't. I was thinking that, actually, because when I was looking at his IMDb, I was thinking, there's quite a few things would be quite good to do in terms of some Ken Stott, because he is just so good. And I do want to kind of watch more of him. So yeah, we'll have to add that into the list, actually, for things to do in the near future. I think, and the only other really part we haven't discussed is, of course, the wonderful Annette Crosby.
Yeah.
As Kelly's mother.
Now, I was looking at Annette Crosby and I was thinking, she's surely not old enough to be Ken Stott's mum. But she is. I don't know what that says about him. He obviously had a fucking tough paper round. But yeah, she is. She's really good, Annette Crosby, in this. Like, really good. Yeah. She's only in a couple of fairly short scenes, but they direct. I wonder if because it's Annette Crosby and she's a wee bit of a national treasure, that's why he made the decision not to show her, the aftermath of her assault, maybe just to kind of do it from the angle he did it,
That's one scene that I found so powerful that you didn't see anything. And obviously you're aware of this is something that she kind of doesn't know how to use the keys for the light. So when Kelty comes in, he's exasperated and he's just pissed off. And he's like, I don't know how many times, and switches it on and you just see the blood behind him and the cunt on the door.
Yeah.
And when he opens that door, I found that scene very difficult to watch as well. But you don't even see him. He just walks into the room and he's just crying and sobbing, oh mum. And that is so powerful to not even see him on screen. And that you feel so much for him in terms of just seeing the room, and wonderful performance. But as you say, it could be that that's why they didn't show her getting beaten up, because it's Annette Crosby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you kind of believe their relationship as well. Just a couple of little lines she delivers to him, and you really almost get a mother-son dynamic. When he's showing her the photo of Valerie, and she says, oh, it's off a wee, and he gets the glasses. It's just little lines like that just made me like, oh, that's just such a thing that a woman of that age would say to her son in terms of that. And then she kind of was like, well, she's better than the usual lot you go for. Which, so I don't know if what Kelty's normal type is.
Yeah, what his normal pretend girlfriends look like. So Anthony Nielsen, who wrote and directed the film, this is his only sort of feature film, if you like. Predominantly his work is been in the theatre. Not very old when he did The Debt Collector. He only not quite 30, in fact, when he did The Debt Collector. But what his IMDb says about him is that he has been cited as a key figure of in-your-face theatre, a term used to characterise new plays with a confrontational style and sensibility that emerged in British theatre during the 1990s. He has been credited with coining the phrase in-your-face theatre, but has rejected the label and instead describes his work as experimental theatre. Much of his work is characterised by the exploration of sex and violence. But he comes from Edinburgh, and most of his work seems to have been kind of north of the border. But there's not really anything that I recognise. Like, I think it's all... There's no plays that you might... I mean, he's got a play called Penetrator. Wow. God only knows what happens there. He wrote an episode of Spooks. He did a play called Normal, the Dusseldorf Ripper. But yeah, he's never done any movies, any feature films since The Debt Collector. And I had a little look online to see, I thought there might be like a sort of documentary about the making of the film. I couldn't find, well, if there is, it's not on YouTube. But I was sort of interested to see if maybe something had put him off doing more films, stressful experience.
There's not a lot out there about this film at all. I mean, the film in itself is extremely difficult to find to be able to watch. As you say, there's not really any making of or anything, really any interviews out there about it. Even looking online, there's not much there. It's a very difficult film to find quite a lot out about. It's
not even in the BFI, which is really surprising, because, I mean, there is some utter shite in the BFI, which which is obviously being considered worth archiving. But I thought that's where I might find it, because I subscribe to the BFI channel on Apple iTunes movies. So there's some great stuff on there, but yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. And the reason I was surprised is that I seem to remember it being like fairly big news. Because what we said at the beginning, Connolly was on a real tear after his performance in Mrs. Brown. He was leading the film, an accomplished cast of actors in there. So I remember getting a lot of press when it came out. But the fact that it's just sort of disappeared, and it's not on Amazon. I looked on Amazon Prime to see if you could rent it or stream it on there. It's not there. It's not on iTunes. It's definitely not on like Netflix or anything like that. So yeah, it's just sort of drifted away.
Do you think, though, that its legacy could live on in terms of a possible new TV series? Not relating to The Debt Collector, but do you think that Irvine Welsh took a bit of inspiration from this for The Blade Artist, the book, in terms of Begbie being a kind of reformed character and being this, it's more sculpture.
Yeah.
Or whereas in the film, Nicky's, it's very much, well, yeah, it's kind of sculpture as well that he does, but it's a bit clay. I mean, at one point when he's in his shed crafting the sculpture, I kept thinking that Hello by Lionel Richie was going to play as he's kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But Begbie's a bit more of a kind of abstract sculpture, I think, in Blade Artist. But I wonder if Irving Welsh took a bit of inspiration.
I think Nicky seems more of a sort of Damien Hirst type. You know, he's got the fish and from formaldehyde and stuff. I mean, I think Irving Welsh is taking a bit of a cue from Jimmy Boyle's story for the Blade Artist, which obviously, so in a way he has taken it from here as well, because the story of the Blade Artist is a lot of the themes are a reformed Begbie trying to resist getting dragged back into his old life in Edinburgh, and that's essentially what's going on here. You know, Nicky's he's kind of being pulled in one direction by two characters, like Kelty and Flipper. They both in their own way pulling him in the same direction, with Kelty kind of antagonising him and goading him, and Flipper needing him to be who he wants him to be. You know, this who he was before, this sort of notorious hard man. And then, of course, you got Nicky himself trying to resist that, and his wife. You know, they've not spoken much about Valerie, played by Francesca Annis, but she clearly comes from a very different place to Nicky. Like, she's obviously very middle class, kind of upper middle class, accomplished writer, and she doesn't know. She's got no point of reference to where Nicky has come from before he's arrived at her, you know, in his life.
As you say, we haven't really spoken much about her, but she is brilliant in this as well.
She's brilliant.
She's really a full range in terms of you can tell she's obviously married him, but then it's not until Kelty comes back on the scene and mentions to her about the policy that she starts digging in about what's the policy. Well, yeah. Surely you must have read his fucking book, because Flipper knows what the policy is.
Well, she wrote his book, so...
Well, yeah, so why... Yeah, of course. Why... yeah, that's a bit of a strange plot point that...
Did you see Jimmy Logan as her dad from
I did,
from the holiday that we did?
I thought that was a good, nice little appearance from him, yeah. It was one of the... As you mentioned earlier, there's a few that just pop up. You're like, oh, of course. So Jimmy Logan, and then of course the other main one is Matt Costello as the kind of sniggering PC.
And Ronnie Arcona plays Valerie's sister as well.
And blink and you'll miss it, Dawn Steele as the barmaid in the strip club.
Yeah, and I did blink and miss her. I was quite surprised. I was trying to think which bar was she working in then. When I saw her name come up in the IMDb cast listing for the film. Yeah, you know, I mean, I suppose. The making a film like this in Scotland, and with the types of characters that are in it, to be fair, it could have become quite a stereotypical sort of affair, really. You know what I mean? And I don't think that he gets it 100% right. You know, Nielsen, I don't think, you know, like we were saying earlier on, the sort of flow of the movie is a bit strange. It's a bit slow at the start. You're kind of waiting for something to happen for quite a while. And then just some of the sort of plot choices he makes are a bit weird. But I think the fact that he's a first-time director of a movie film, of a feature film rather, and he's a writer, and he's put together a really accomplished cast to tell a story that could quite easily have just been a by-the-numbers sort of stereotypical Scottish crime drama. I think he's maybe done a good job, but I don't know if there's a reason why he's never made any other feature films. I don't know, I'm not sure, because it seems to be quite well reviewed as well, right, in the film.
Yeah, it certainly has. It did get, in my opinion, quite a lot of good plaudits and people praising Connolly's performance. For me, it's Ken Stott's performance that wins it for me. I say it's only the second time I've really watched it. I didn't think it was incredible. I thought it was very good, and it's accomplished, and it would be good as a kind of 2-part drama or something you would maybe have seen on the BBC. But I don't know if I'd rush to watch this again. It was just, I felt it was a bit slow in some places. I felt, I don't know, just there's a few bits we've discussed that just don't sit right with me in terms of the actual story, but it's very good. But yeah, I want to see what you've described as using that opening scene and having like an almost Tarantino inspired kind of film with, you know, a bit of flashbacks from the 70s maybe interspersed with the kind of the actual story of this copper out to hell bent on seeing Dryden go back to prison for something, and maybe not having that Ken Stott character going completely over the top and raping his wife. I'd like to see something like that. That would be good.
I mean, the movie scores 74% on the audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's quite a good score. There aren't any other reviews for it, so it seems to have been maybe didn't get a particularly wide release. But yeah, it would be good to see a movie like how you're describing. I think with some punchy dialogue and a good soundtrack and, you know, sort of Glasgow or Edinburgh in the 1970s and stuff. I'd be up for that. I'd be well up for it. All right, shall we put The Debt Collector through our awards?
Yes, why not? Okay, then let's do it.
The first one is Bobby the Barman's best pub in the movie. What did you pick?
Well, I think there's only the snooker hall and the strip club, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I've picked the snooker hall rather than the strip club.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. I mean, it's quite, you know, like the whole smoky pub thing, you know, that's obviously something that we grew up with. You know, like the first however long, sort of 10, 15 years of us going to the pub, you could have a ciggy. And there was always, especially in like certain pubs, like if you went in the grill, there always seemed to be a sort of fog of cigarette smoke that just sat just before the ceiling. And then when Kelty is at the hospital, when his mum's in intensive care and he's at the hospital waiting for news, just fucking smoking away. You know what I mean?
I did think that crossed my mind. I was like, I don't think that was allowed. Was it far back as that? I know obviously the pubs, but in hospital, I didn't think, 1999 or so, you could smoke, especially because she's obviously in intensive care.
Yeah.
And he's just having a fag in the corridor whilst waiting for her.
Yeah.
I like because obviously they had the old style jukebox still there when you go in 1999, but they obviously had a modern jukebox, which I noticed it had All Saints and Aqua. I can't remember what the other one was. There was like a Now album, and then there was, I can't remember what the fourth one was, but I was like, nice little touch there. The updated jukebox.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the snooker hall over the strip club for me.
For sure. The Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. There's only really one scene, isn't there?
Yeah, it's Flipper and his pal having a little midnight swim, and you do see a little bit there. So, yeah, that's what I would have gone for.
Yep. The James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. I went with Matt Costello.
Okay.
Yeah. Who'd you go?
Yeah. I went with Ian Robertson, I think purely because just he's been in a lot and it's predominantly Scottish, apart from Grange Hill, but even in Grange Hill he was playing a Scot. But Matt Costello's probably a good shout because he does just pop up in just random parts in different films. And
well, I think I said to you when we did something with him in it last year, and I had just seen him in Wonder Woman 84, bizarrely. And he had a few lines in it, like a talking role towards the end. I was like, what the fuck is Matt Costello doing in Wonder Woman? But when I was looking at Ian Robertson's IMDb, he was in Watchmen, Zack Schneider's version of Watchmen. But fuck knows where, unless he was like an extra or something. I can't imagine. I've seen that film quite a few times. I don't remember ever seeing him in it. So I think we had quite a lot of choice for this next one, but the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing.
What did you go for then for this?
Right, I'm just gonna get it on because I don't want to misquote it, but it fucking made me laugh for ages. So it happens near the beginning of the film, and it's just after Kelty's been suspended, and he's talking to Colquhoun, and Colquhoun says, "You're a grumpy old cunt. I almost get used to having you around." And Kelty goes, "You're a grumpy old cunt, sir!"
That bunch of toffee-nosed tits make a hero out of a piece of shite like Nickie Dryden.
Aye, well, maybe a piece of shite, but he's a council's golden boy. When the Home Office grant a big fat cheque for the rehab unit off his back.
Fucking rehab? Nickie Dryden hasn't changed. He's just got smart. Write a book,
Marry some stuck-up journalist suddenly as a fucking socialite.
Oh, Ken, it's shit. What good's this? I mean, you're a grumpy old cunt, but I was getting used to having you around.
You're a grumpy old cunt, sir. And didn't make who you talk like me, son. There's folk who give their eye teeth to get educated in speaking, and it's a fucking insult to them.
I love that part because then he's going down the stairs and then he bumps into like two other people and he goes, "Am I fucking invisible or what?" And then storms out.
Yeah.
I do like that. That was good. I liked, and I think it's just because of the way Ken Stott delivers it. It's when Nicky is doing the radio interview and you cut to Kelty in his car and he's just muttering to himself, "Yeah, fuck. Fuck, fuck, yeah, fuck."
But people die in these big...
Oh, fucking yeah, fucking yeah, you cunt.
Just never...
Fuck you bastard.
I just really like that, just the way he delivers that. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much to choose from in this. It's just, you almost get lost by how much swearing there is.
Yeah, and I think, and like, there's like little bits where you wonder if Dryden's perhaps slipping back a little bit into who he was before. Like, there's a scene where after when he finds out Kelty's been at the house, and he says to his wife, "That cunt came to the house."
Oh yeah,
yeah. I just would never use the C word in front of my wife. She would absolutely kick my cunt in.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that cunt came at the house.
Archetypal Scottish moment.
I mean, we could go with the obvious here in terms of the wedding and strip the willow and stuff, but I went for, and I love the scene from Kelty when he first comes in to the art exhibition and he says about his mince and tatties repeating on him.
Yeah, I had the wedding, so it was a fairly archetypal wedding, but also the tattoo. But the funny thing with the tattoo is that they obviously weren't really able to show any of the tattoo, really. So you don't really hear the music and stuff, and when they're all in the little private viewing room, you know. I think I feel like we'll be aligned on this next one. But the Sean Connery Award, who won the film for you?
Ken Stott,
yeah,
of course, yeah, without a doubt.
He steals it, really.
His performance.
Yeah, because it's up. You can see the cover, like the movie posters online, and Connolly's. He's the only headliner, you know what I mean? It's like it's his film, but Stott runs away with it, I think.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
no, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, well, we would urge you, if you haven't seen The Debt Collector, to go out and watch it, but you might have a problem doing that unless you know how to navigate the kind of less trodden areas of the internet.
I mean, to be honest, it's hardly even available as I did just in research because I couldn't find it anywhere to view. So just happened to have a look at torrents, and it's not even available there. So it's really difficult to find. I think your best bet is maybe if it appears on Channel 4 or something and it's on Film 4 for a couple of months, but or if the BBC decide to show it for something. But it's almost impossible to find.
Yeah, you probably have to wait until Billy Connolly dies. The BBC does a Billy Connolly night or something, and maybe they'll show it then.
I was just thinking that, but I thought, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say maybe when Billy Connolly passes away, they'll show a season of his films. But yeah, if you just said it for me, so thanks very much.
It comes to all of us in the end, you know.
Good. Oh, well, yeah. No, I enjoyed revisiting it, but as I say, it was definitely worth it for Ken Stott's performance for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's interesting to see Billy Connolly leading a film as opposed to being like a sort of co-star or whatever. And like it's got a brilliant cast. A brilliant cast. So if you're able to watch it, then and you haven't seen it before, then give it a spin. So it was my choice to The Debt Collector this week. So that makes it your choice for the next episode. What will we be reviewing?
Well, I'd like to go back to the Highlands, Greg, for our next review. And I'd like to look at a film starring Kate Dickie, James Cosmo, and Eddie Izzard. About a group of students who are doing their Duke of Edinburgh Award. I'd like to look at 2019's Get Duked.
Oh, really? Well, I've never even heard of it.
It is described as a hip-hop horror comedy
set
in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh, my life. Oh, well.
It's It's available on Amazon. I'll send you this trailer just when we're wrapping up, because I want to kind of see your reaction to watching the trailer of this.
Okay. Cool.
And you'll be delighted to hear it's only 85 minutes long.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this. I've been really looking forward to it. Well, wonderful. Thank you everyone very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can. You can follow us at Culture Swally Pod, or you can follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. And if you've seen anything in the news you'd like us to review, or if you've seen any piece of Scottish culture you'd like us to review, you can get in touch with us at cultureswally@gmail.com. And yeah, please feel free to give us a rating, review, subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts, and tell your friends about us. Okay.
Something else that you listeners could do for us. So we're going to be in Aberdeen at the end of May. We've not been in Aberdeen for a while. It's looking like we're going to have a fair bit of time to kill. So if you want to get in touch with us, why don't you let us know, if you live in Aberdeen, what your top 5 things to do, legal things to do are in Aberdeen, and maybe we'll let you know how we got on, if we think any of them are worth doing.
We're going to have a little Aberdeen scavenger hunt with our listeners in terms of what they recommend, yeah?
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Fantastic.
Right.
Well, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Until next time, Greg.
Until next time.
We collected debts. Sometimes we resorted to violence. Where it all fell down was when we were dealing with some mad fucker with a death wish. There was plenty of them, let me tell you. Instead of punishing them, we would punish the folk closest to them. Friends, relatives, whatever. It was very effective. But you know all this.
I didn't know it was a policy.